My husband want a divorce, but I don't.
Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started.
My husband want a divorce, but I don't. To make a long story short, I fucked up big time. I have been with my partner for 6 years, three of them married. I never once felt the need to seek out other men or even cared to even interact with anyone else until this past year. My parents divorced about 2 years ago, and I haven't talked to my father since. He is a very narcissistic and manipulative person, and I am scared that as I am getting older, I am picking up on his habits. I don't want to be like him at all, but recently, this past year, something in me changed. I thought it may have been my birth control and the hormones, so I stopped taking it, but it's almost like it got worse. At the beginning of this year, I confessed to having a crush on a coworker to my husband. But I didn't have any attraction to that person. It was more of an attraction to the attention I was getting that I felt like I lacked from my husband. Several months later, I began talking to another guy behind my husband's back. For me, it was just a friendship. I was seeking out advice and attention in all the wrong places. This person and I never developed a relationship, and I never had any feelings for them. But I got so captivated in a high of sneaking around and talking to this person that I began lying to my husband even more. Deep down, I wanted to stop. I wanted to cut this friendship off and focus on my marriage. But I couldn't until I was caught, which eventually I was one night when I lied to my husband and went to this person's house. It's like I knew I would get caught eventually and I wanted to, but at the same time, I wasn't ready to change. I liked the feeling of freedom. On top of this, I began to hang out with a group of girls who were single, liked to party, liked to have fun. Not to mention, I got married at 17, so it's like I felt like I needed to make up for my youth and see what I was missing out on. So I began to put these friends in front of my marriage and devote my time to them instead of my husband, which was another huge mistake that I failed to realize at the time because I was so caught up in myself and in a high of independence. Then, recently, an old acquaintance from high school reached out to one of my girlfriends and asked for my number. I agreed to let him have it, not thinking anything would come from it. I began talking to this person pretty frequently and agreed to meet up for lunch once. Then shortly after I agreed to hang out with him twice, I made it clear to him that I was married and seek nothing more than friendship and advice. But still for some reason I continued to talk to him knowing my husband wouldn't like it, and that I needed to go home and water my grass instead of devoting my attention elsewhere. Eventually, I was caught again. I invited this person over to my mom's while she was out of town, and I was dog sitting for her. For the record, I have never once physically cheated on my husband or even considered it. Some may say I had an emotional affair, but it was never anything more. I love my husband. I really do. He is my best friend, and I wish I knew why I did this to him. It's almost like I was watching over myself and had no control. I want to fix myself. I want to change. I want to fix my marriage. I have already lost all contact with this other guy. I didn't have contact with any other man. I have distanced myself from my friends and explained to them that I need to focus on my marriage and fix it. My husband hates me, which he has every right to. He wants a divorce, but I don't. I want to win his love back and the person he fell in love with again. I am receiving religious and medical help now, trying to figure out this problem I have with myself. I do not want to wake up one day and be served with divorce paper. I don't know how to keep my husband from divorcing me. He deserves better, and I want to be that better for him. I understand it's going to take time for the trust to even be considered, but I am willing to do whatever it takes.